Hi everyone, and a really big welcome back. Now before I get started, big news for everyone in Adelaide and Perth. Now I've had so many requests to come that we've finally made it happen. In fact, these requests have been coming in for years. So I am speaking in Adelaide and Perth on the 24th and 25th of June. I popped a link below the video if you'd like more details or if you would like to book. Now if you are booking tickets, if you book two, then the second is 50% off. So there's a great deal there if you want to come in group. Now, if you do come along, please come and say hello. I love to connect with you all personally. And if you have an amazing story to tell me, I do want to hear it. We could even maybe take a picture and I could share your story on Facebook. Anyway, on to the questions. And I look forward to seeing everyone who does come to Adelaide and Perth. Right, first question is from Janine in Victoria. She says, "Hi Christine, I'm very new to low carb high fat. So far I love it. I obviously haven't seen any results yet, but I'm enjoying the food and I love to cook, and cooking this way is great. My question is, however, I have underactive thyroid. I'm on thyroxine, and when I had my levels tested last year, they were in perfect range. I've been on medication for about 6 years, which was after the birth of my child. Obviously, I would like to be rid of the medication, but I'm wondering how I will go about doing this. Is it something that I just continue to take and see how I go, or do I go off the medication, then get my thyroid levels tested after a period of time? It's well controlled with the medication, but I'd rather be off it. I just wasn't too sure which way to go and if it would be detrimental to go off straight away. Thank you. Now, if you can point me into the right direction, that would be awesome." Now this is a really good question. Low carb, high fat, especially the keto version, naturally boosts thyroid function. What generally happens for those on thyroxine is that low carb, high fat starts improving their thyroid function. And if they're being monitored by the doctor and tested regularly, which hopefully is happening, the doctor then starts reducing the medication and then stopping the medication once levels have actually normalized. Now, when we do test thyroid, we don't just test TSH like many of the doctors do. We also test free T3 and free T4, which gives us a much better picture of thyroid function. So most doctors will only test those two parameters if someone already has underactive thyroid. So hopefully you have the test results for those as well. So we like to see the T3 and T4 in the top third of those healthy parameters that are listed on the test. So I hope that helps, and if you do have trouble getting those tests, we can actually organise those for you, so let me know. Next question is from Carolyn in Queensland. She says, "Would this be okay to use or make?" And she's got a link to the Protein Bread company. Well, I actually get a lot of questions about this because people do want to find those bread alternatives. Now this is actually fine for people who are not sensitive to nuts or seeds, because it can cause bloating. Nuts or seeds can cause bloating in some people. And also it's best to include foods like this after the initial keto phase. So I advise avoiding nuts, seeds, etc. in that initial phase to get that blood sugar down, etc. But after that, it is a good option. The next question is from Kerry in Queensland. She says, "Hi Christine, I've just completed your 12-week program and it's been wonderful. I've lost 9 kilos and I still have 5 to go, but they won't shift. It's been 4 weeks now and no movement, even though I think nothing has changed. What do you suggest? Also, I am going on a trip to Russia, Italy and the UK shortly. I'm not sure what to do in relation to the glutamine and the vitamin C powder and the apple cider vinegar drink. How can I keep taking it when I'm away, as I don't want white powder in my suitcase, LOL." Yes, we definitely want to avoid that one. "And is there glutamine and vitamin C tablets as well as coconut oil tablets?" Now, firstly, that is so great to hear. Well done on your weight loss, and I'm so glad you're feeling good. Now, firstly, did you check your insulin and thyroid at the beginning of the program, and did you then check it again at the end? And if so, and if it was elevated, did it actually come down to 5 or less? That's the first thing that I would actually look at. And also, have you stayed keto since finishing the program? Now, if you do email me your results, I can take a look and see what's happening and make some suggestions. Now, with the travelling, yes, it can be quite concerning, obviously, having white powder in the suitcase. Now, I don't worry about the apple cider vinegar when I'm away, but I do try to find lemons as soon as I arrive anywhere. And I, find the shops around the place, find lemons, put them into my hotel or wherever I'm staying, and use a lemon every day in my water. Now, I do tend to take a small bottle of coconut oil with me, and I just pack it really well so it doesn't break, and if it does, that it can't ruin anything. And that's because coconut oil is so useful when traveling because it's antibacterial, it's antiviral, it's antimicrobial. And so if you do pick up some sort of bug, it's likely to kill the bug before it takes hold. Now, you can also get some great vitamin C tablets. I like the Orthoplex of zinc and vitamin C lozenge. They're great for traveling because you can just pop them in your mouth and suck on them. And zinc is also really useful for preventing picking up colds and flus, etc. when you're traveling. Now, you also can buy glutamine in tablets, so that's another good option, or you can buy a really small container of the powder. If it's unopened and you take it, generally there won't be any issues. Much better than having it in a plastic bag or something like that. All right, next question is from Cheryl in Queensland. She says, hi, I've been following low carb, high fat for 2 months, and in the first month I lost, the second month I maintained. I have looked closely at what I've been eating and my carbs are very low. My fats are about 20 grams short, but protein has been high by about 10 grams. My concern is that to increase my fats, it will also increase my protein. So where should I focus, or is there something I am missing? Now, before I do answer your question about fats, the most important part of the equation is actually the carbs. So the question I would be asking is, are you keeping those carbs around the 20 gram mark or under? Now, most people do have elevated insulin, and we find that this is the most common reason for a stall. It's really hard to shift the weight if insulin is still up. So if you do go back and look at my recent videos, I talk about it in a lot more detail in my weight loss specials. Now, with the fats, you don't have to increase your protein to increase the fat. I find the easiest way to increase fats is to add butter to my meals. And in fact, a lot of people don't realize how much butter I add to my meals until they eat a meal with me, and then they go, oh, I understand. Now, the other way to add fat is by adding a tablespoon of coconut oil to yogurt, which is really beneficial to health as well. Now, I try to have one of those daily. I melt the coconut oil if it's solid, and then I whisk it through the yogurt until it's smooth. That way you can't even tell it's in there, and I find that it's much more pleasant than taking it on a spoon and it adds to that fat content. So I hope that helps. Now, next question is from Deborah in Queensland again. A lot of questions from Queensland this time. She says, I just wanted to share with you my epiphany. As I've written to you previously, my weight loss has stalled at about 13 to 14 kilos, although 13 to 14 kilos is a really good weight loss, so congratulations. Now, I felt pretty unhappy about it, especially since my sister has lost 42 pounds, which is 19 kilos, pretty quickly, and we are both doing this way of life. Anyway, I've read all your books. I've been doing this for well over a year, and although I will never go back to my old ways, I still can't get down regarding the weight loss. Now, for the epiphany. I'm sure you have said this one way or another in your books, but obviously it didn't register with me at the time. I've bought the ketogenic cookbooks because you referred it, because you know the authors, and it talks about how inflammation in the body can impede weight loss. Well, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease in the late 80s, so they couldn't identify what it was. Recently, I've been told I have palindromic rheumatoid arthritis. That's a mouthful. The significance here is my elevated C-reactive protein. It should be around 1, and mine last year was 12. It was like a light bulb moment for me. I know low carb, high fat lowers inflammation in the body, which of course I'm already doing. But now I have this awareness regarding my particular situation. I've come to the conclusion that I have to take it much further. So I'm taking turmeric capsules, glutamine powder, vitamin C powder every day. I may need to increase that in the future, but I'll see how I go. In addition, I'm thinking that I must really ensure I get the fat in, which I do struggle with at times. Also indicated in your books as well, I'm tweaking what I eat to be very low in carbs, even lower than the 20 grams. For example, I've discovered I'm very sensitive to carbs, including almond meal and cauliflower. My plan is to monitor things closely. I feel like I'm getting closer to the answer for me. However, I'm having trouble getting blood ketones over 1 to 1.2 by late afternoon. My blood glucose is fine. Fasting is 3.9 to 4. After eating, maybe around 5 or 5.1. Anyway, I wanted to share what I've discovered for myself. If you have any other ideas or suggestions, I'd be very eager to know. Thanks for all you've done and to help us all become happier and healthier. Inflammation can be a real issue, and it will absolutely help a lot of other people, the fact that you've brought this up. So thank you. Now, turmeric is the perfect idea for inflammation, along with keeping carbs very, very low. And yes, almond meal causes issues for me too, actually, so I generally avoid it because unless I can use activated almonds, I do better on those, then I do have trouble. It does bloat me and cause all sorts of issues. So it's good to avoid anything we are sensitive to. And it's also best to avoid almond meal in those initial stages when we are trying to get our inflammation and insulin down. Now, there are also some other supplements we could recommend to get on top of the inflammation. So there is natural help that you can use, but it would be really useful also to do full blood work to see exactly what's going on in the body as well. And if you're open to doing a consultation with Caitlin, that would be a really good idea to see exactly what's happening, see what supplements might help to get that inflammation down, because sometimes we can go along for years and not address particular things. And like you said, you've been doing this a long, long time and you've still got the issue with inflammation. And of course, low carb, high fat does reduce inflammation on its own, but sometimes we can help it along, and sometimes we need a little bit of help if we do have specific conditions. Now, blood sugar in that range is absolutely superb. Ketones at 1 and 1.2 is not actually too bad, but it will likely get stronger if your carbs are kept consistently very low. Anyway, it definitely sounds like you're on the right track with everything, so well done. And again, thank you so much for sharing. And that does bring us to the end of our questions today. As usual, it was a pleasure. I look forward to seeing people in Adelaide and Perth if you come from that region, and I will see everyone else next time.